Hey everybody, it's time for another thing a week. Today, I'm going to show you how to set up a release. Nathan Gross, 7216, asked the question on the release video where I'm talking about setting your release up with a balanced grip so your hinge and your button both hit in the same place. Nathan asked for just a release aid setup video. He asked for hinges, but today, Nathan, you're going to learn how to set up a button release, and then the next time I come in for filming, I will show you setup of a hinge release, which is what Nathan actually asked for. So Nathan, get in touch with customer service and we'll fix you up with a Last Chance Archery hat or a t-shirt or something. So get in touch with customer service and let them know that you were mentioned on a thing a week video, and we'll send you some company swag. All right, so when you pull the release out of the pack, most companies, I'm using an UltraView button right now, but most companies have them at kind of a middle of the road, sort of normal when they come out of the box. But there's a few things that I like to do to make sure that, or to just kind of optimize this for myself. So I start off, I have just a piece of string here that I can hook the release into, and I can just see what it feels like. And one of the things up close, if you look, when I push the button, there's some travel in the button before the release aid fires. So one of the things that I like to do first is to eliminate the travel. And in an UltraView hinge and almost all other button releases, the travel and the pressure both sort of oppose each other. So if you max both of them out, the button won't have any range of motion to actually operate properly. So I do those separately, and I make sure that I have a balance in between each adjustment so that I have a good balance between the two, so that I have zero travel, but I also have enough pressure to make the release actually fire. So the first thing that I do, I just take this is just like fresh out of the box, and I take this and I just engage it. Then I'll take the travel adjustment, and on UltraView button, it's right here, right? So I'll just adjust with the button engaged. I'll just turn this wrench until, let's see, I'll hold it up here so you can see it. I'll just turn this wrench until the release aid fires. And then I'll just back it off a quarter or maybe an eighth of a turn. So then I see it'll remain engaged and it's secure, and then just a light push, just a light touch. You see how it doesn't take any pressure at all to make that fire when I have the travel. And the travel, even though the travel adjustment only adjusts the range of motion of the trigger, it also changes the perception of how much weight it takes to make it fire. So I set the travel first, and then I go to the weight adjustment, and I can tighten that down. I'll put a half a turn in it and test it. That's pretty good. That's sort of a light medium. I kind of like a medium to medium hard. Let's see. That's a little better, right? I'm going to go a little bit more. And if I go too far on the poundage adjustment, it won't fire. But right here, I've got it kind of a medium heavy, and I'm just sampling that with the end of my finger. Then I can take my string, stretch it out like a bow, and just pull on. Okay, that's really good. I'm going to try it right there. So take the travel out first, and then set the pressure to where you want it. If you're learning release aid technique, if you're working through target panic, or this is a brand new release for you, it's a good idea to set it on the heavy side. So you have to be very intentional about how you apply weight to the release to actually make it fire. So if you set it too light and you can't really touch the release, that'll promote kind of punching the release, or it will misfire or shoot too early. If you're afraid to touch it, you can't be confident with the release, and you can't just put your fingers on it. So I start off heavy, and then while I'm going through my release aid training, I'll slowly back it off. When I get to about the middle of the floor in my walk back routine, more on that later, when I get to the middle of the floor on the walk back routine, that's where I start adjusting the travel and the pressure to get the speed of the shot kind of where I want it. Because when I teach myself to be confident and heavy-handed on the release and really work through it, it tends to get really fast. So I want to kind of back that off a little just so I can get everything ready to go, but I still have a fast, confident shot. And a real fast, confident shot is going to be a lot more accurate than a super careful, timid shot. So another thing with adjustments, if you have two releases and you want to set them somewhat similar to each other, what I do is I've just adjusted this one, and I can take these releases here and put them on the table, and I just put the two fingers together, and then I'll rotate the release here like that until the two buttons touch. And then I will press against, see, let me cock this one. I'll press each button against each other with rotating force like that. And I will press them together with rotating force. And you see this one clicked faster, right? Let me try it again. Yeah, see this one clicked faster, so it's lighter. So what I'm going to do is I'll add a little pressure to this one, and then we'll try that again. And then I've got them both working together. So that way I can have two releases. I can have my primary and a backup and make sure that they both fire at the same time and with the same speed. And that's just a really quick and dirty way to make sure that both of your releases are extremely similar in pressure. But truthfully, if you fully learn your release aid technique and you become a shot execution expert, it won't matter if the release aid speeds are a little different from each other. You'll be able to shoot it. Once you have one or two familiarization shots, you'll have it down and it'll be working perfectly. Now, let me show you how to set the thumb position, because many releases over the years have copied the very first release that had kind of a mobile, like movable thumb trigger. See, this thumb trigger, it'll go in and out, back and forth, right? And I can rotate this knob to get the knurling where I want it to match up with my thumb. So I'm going to set this just sort of finger tight so I can move it and it'll still maintain its position. Okay. So I got that all the way down and all the way forward. Okay. So what I'll do, this is how I set it. I just take my thumb, and you know how when you just let your hand relax, you know, your thumb has kind of its natural relaxed position that it sort of hangs in. So I grab the release like this, and then I just relax my thumb and just let it hang. So you see, when I let it hang, the button is not touching my thumb and it's not in the right position. So what I'll do is I'll slide this out just a little bit, and then I'll have it back just a hair, and then I'll recheck. And you see, when I just relax my thumb, it's right there in the pocket. So then when I'm ready to pull back, I can set my hand in the release and use my thumb as a guide. I can go, yep, that release fits exactly the way I want it. Then I can just take my thumb away, draw the bow, and relax my thumb into position, and it's right where it needs to be to make it fire. So I'm just going to tighten that down now that I have selected its spot. And now this release aid is set for me. So your release aid speed can change when you make this lever longer by extending it. It can change just simply because you have a little bit more leverage on the release aid mechanism, but it's not significant. But if you use a string and you're really working your way through learning the release, using the string first, you will choose the technique that you're going to shoot the release with using the string, and you're going to optimize that technique so it works perfectly for you every single time you put the exact amount of pressure against the mechanism to make it fire. It will work at the exact same speed every time. And if you've optimized and really learned and mastered your release aid technique, then go get the bow and start shooting blank bails and move the feeling from the string to the bow. So that is how you set up a button release. And most brand buttons, though their adjustments may be in different places and things like that, but most brand buttons, you use this exact same technique on pretty much all of them. So that's it for today's Thing a Week. I'll see you next week.